All right, so we're going to start with Levi. Levi, I want you to read this question. I want you to tell us what you would do to answer this.
Okay, so a stamp is approximately 1.5 inches long and 7/8 inches wide. The post office would like to enlarge the copy of the stamp to display the artwork. They decided to use a scale factor of 16. So first I would do 1.5 times 16.
All right, and that is
I got 24.
perfect. So A would be 24.
Yes, sir.
All right, and the
What
reason
page did you say that will be on
this is page 1.
in our notebook?
No, this is not in a notebook. This you were supposed to write down your work for solving this. This was the practice test that I put up yesterday.
Okay.
All right. All right, keep going.
Then I did 7/8 times 16. I got 14.
Good.
And then for the last one, I divided, or I multiplied the 24 times 14 and got 332.8, I think.
336. But I'm following you.
336.
All right.
And then I divided that by
7/8 times 1.5.
yes, sir.
All right, so 1.5 is going to be 3 over 2, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's 21/16. And you
Yes,
said
sir,
you
and then I
divided
got-
them?
And I got 256.
You are 100% correct. Now remember, class, we cannot divide by a fraction. We got to change this sign and multiply by the reciprocal. So we get 336 times the reciprocal of 21 over 16 is what?
16 over 21.
Now, before I do any multiplication, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify. I can divide 21 by 21 and get 1. And if I do 336 divided by 21, what do we get? Just put it in your calculator, somebody.
16.
Good. And 16 times 16 we said is what?
256.
Good. And 256 divided by 1 is
256.
perfect. So that is exactly how to get your answer. Now, there is something that you can remember to help you if you don't want to do all that work that Levi did. Anytime they give us the scale factor to figure out how many times larger it will be, we can take the scale factor and square it, and it'll tell us how much larger the other would be. So 16 squared is the same as saying 16 times 16. And that's going to be the same answer as what Levi just gave us, which is 256. But in order for you to do that, you would have to remember what I just said. So to determine how many times larger the new area would be, you would have to square the scale factor, and it would tell you. Or you could do it the way Levi did it, which is the way that I do it. Anybody have a question? Number 2, I want Miss Kalia to read this.
Sally is making soup. She has a recipe that serves 8 people, but she plans to serve 5 people, including herself. If the original recipe calls for 2.5 cups apiece, what amount should Sally use? I was kind of confused on that one. Could you explain it?
Yeah, we'll go over it. So we know that how many people are going to eat now? Not 8, but what?
9, 6, 5.
5 out of 8. So 5 out of 8 are going to eat. And we know that it takes 2.5 cups for the normal recipe. So what we do is we convert 2.5 cups to a improper fraction. or n improper fraction. So we multiply and then add. 2 times 2 is
4.
plus 1.
5.
So we get 5 halves. So we take our recipe and we multiply it by the number of people that want to eat. So 5 times 5 is
25.
good. And 8 times 2?
16. 16.
And so all we got to do is see how many times 16 goes into 25.
Doesn't it go in once?
Correct.
And once you get 9/16 cups,
That's right. 1 and 9/16. Now, there's a couple other ways you can do this. So this is the mathematically correct way. I'm going to show you a mathematical reasoning way. All right, we know that 8 people takes 2.5 cups. So 2.5 equals 8. So how would we figure out how much it takes to feed 4 people? Divide by what?
Divide by 5.
8 divided by 2 would give you 4, which is half, right? And so what is 2.5 divided by 2?
1.25.
Great. Now, we want to feed 5. So is 5 going to be a little more or a little less than 1.25?
Wouldn't it be a little bit less or greater?
Greater. Yeah. Little greater than 1.25. So we know it's not going to be 3 1/8. We know it's not going to be 3 because that's more. We know it can't be 1.25 because that feeds 4. So the only possible answer that's left is what?
A.
That's called mathematical reasoning. All right. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, sir.
All right.
The
So
only thing that I was confused on at first was either the 5 was less or greater than you told me, and I'm like, oh yeah.
I got you. So do you understand that now?
Yeah, it's been a while since I did it that way.
Oh, okay. All right. Moving to the next.
Can I go take something for my puppy?
Go ahead. Satari, read this, please.
On the track at school, Susie ran 1/2 of a lap in 2/3 minutes. What is the unit rate in minutes per lap?
So what do you think we need to do?
Wouldn't you either multiply or divide?
Do what now?
I know the answer.
This is one that I kind of got confused on.
All right. Somebody said they know the answer.
I know it.
How? What do you do?
So, I knew half a lap was 2/3 of a minute. So I multiplied 1/2 to get 1 whole lap.
Okay. So
And then I did the same thing to the amount of minutes.
so
And I got
1/2 times 2 would equal 1 whole, right?
Mhm.
And then so you said you did 2/3 times 2,
Mm-hmm.
which gives you
1 and 1/3.
correct 4/3 or
4/3.
1 and 1/3. She's 100% correct. Anybody do that problem a little different?
I did. So I made the decimal.
Okay.
I made the fraction into a decimal, 1/2 to 0.5.
Okay.
And I did 2/3 minutes into 40 minutes, and then times those by 2 and got 1 and 80 minutes.
All right. So 40 seconds, right? 40 seconds for 1 lap. So 1 lap would be 80 seconds. Is that right, Levi?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then, so how did you convert 80 seconds to a minute and 1/3?
So I subtracted it by 60,
Mhm.
and that takes away one of the minutes.
Good.
So that would make it 1 minute
So it was like 1
and
minute.
20 seconds.
Good. And so the only possible answer would still be what?
1 and 1/3.
Good. Because this would be too small. That would be too small. And if you do this would be 1 minute and how many seconds? Who knows that answer?
10,
Yes, 10 seconds. How'd you get that?
because I multiplied each by 10 and got 10 over 60.
Perfect. All right. So does anybody have a question about this problem? Okay. Number 4. Read this one for us, Khalees.
Michelle's cooking recipe calls for 3/4 cups of brown sugar to make 3 dozen cookies. Which of the following shows an amount of brown sugar that would make the corresponding amount of cookies?
All right. What are you thinking?
I said 1 cup brown sugar and 4 dozen cookies.
All right. Tell me why.
Because it said 3/4, which is 3 dozen cookies. So I said if it's 1/4, then that's then that's a whole.
Correct. But 1/4 would be equal to how many dozens?
1 dozen. So if you would times that by 4 each, then you get 4 over 4, 4 over 4, which is 1 cup and 4 dozen.
Okay. So that's good. Are there any other possible answers there? So we know 1/4, we know 4/4, we know 3/4. What about 2/4?
1/2.
Good. And so how many dozens would it be?
2.
Correct. So is that answer up there?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Would 4/3 be 1 dozen?
No.
No. And we know that a half cup. Ooh, did Mr. Martin make a mistake? Do y'all see the mistake?
Yeah.
Yeah, I circled the wrong one. That says a half cup makes 1 dozen. That's wrong. 1/2 we said makes 2 dozen. And we said how many cups makes 4 dozen? 1.
1.
So there's only 2 possible answers. Does anybody have a question about that one?
No.
All right. Braden, knock this one out, buddy.
Sir.
I want you to do this one.
Okay.
Will you read it and then tell us what to do?
Okay. The school library charges a fine for a late book depending on how many days overdue it is. Do you want me days overdue? 5, 10, 15. For day 5 is 75 cents. For day 10 is $1.50, and for day 15 is $2.25.
Mm-hmm. So what you thinking?
$1.50 for every day is overdue.
All right, let's see.
Oh,
I remember doing something with X's and Y's to figure out if there's a
Mr. Martin, may I be
constant.
excused?
Go ahead. How do I find a constant? Because the constant is going to tell me how much dollars is spent. So what I want to think about right now is just think about no money. Don't think about any money at all. Just think about the fine is equal to dollars multiplied by days overdue.
When you do the fine divided by the days overdue,
You're 100% correct. So we're going to take the fine and we're going to divide it by the days. And that's going to give us our constant. Okay? So remember, y divided by x equals our constant. So we got 75 cents divided into 5 parts. We got $1.50 divided into 10 parts. And we got $2.25 divided into 15 parts. So when we do 75 cents divided by 5, what do we get?
0.15.
Okay. When we do $1.50 divided by 10, what do we get?
0.15.
When we do 225 divided by 15, what do we get?
0.15.
So, Khalees, which one would have to work?
Fine equals 0.15 days overdue.
You're 100% correct. Anybody do this differently than what we just did?
I mean, if you consider, like, I just did 0.75 divided by 5 equals 0.15 cents one day, so F equals 0.15 times D.
Okay. Anybody got a question about that? Yes or no?
No, sir.
All right. Number 6. Let's go with Brennan. Brennan, tell us what to do here.
I know the answer to this one.
All right. Mr. Frazier, you there?
Yes, sir.
How would we solve this? What are you thinking we should do?
You would multiply each of them by 3.
Okay. So 1 times 3, or like which one?
The bottom left.
Yeah. In each case, if you multiply by 3, you would get the answer, right?
Yes, sir.
Does that happen for any of the other ones where the same number works?
No, sir.
No. And so what creates a proportional relationship is a constant. And so to find our constant, we have 2 ways we can do that. We can do it like Brennan said. He said that we could take our x and multiply it by a number to determine y. He said whenever you do that, they're all going to equal 3. So x times 3 will give you your y in each case. Now, we also learned in class that we can just divide. 3 divided by 1 is?
3.
6 divided by 2 is?
3.
9 divided by 3 is? 12 divided by 4?
3.
And 5 divided by 15?
3.
So this has a constant rate of change because it always stays the same. Now looking at the other ones, if you do the same thing, that'd be 6, that'd be 5.5. So that's wrong. This would be 1, 1, and then 4 over 3. That's wrong. Then that last one would be 3, 3, and then 3.5. 0.33. Is that right?
Nope.
Nope. So Brendan gave us the best possible answer, which is that one down there on the bottom left corner. Has anybody got a question about that? What makes a table proportional?
If it has a constant,
That's right. It has a constant rate.
Rate of change.
Good. All right, take a look at this one. It's based off of what we just said. Vincent, I want you to try it. Read it for us and tell us what you think.
which of the following statements accurately describe proportional relationships?
Okay.
And for me, I think I put all of the above.
Okay, tell me why.
Because I know with a proportional relationship, it has a consistent rate of change, just like the thing that we just did,
Correct.
wherever it had the little 3 and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know with the thing must be linear.
What does linear mean? What type of line?
A straight line.
A straight line. Good. That's what linear means. So that's correct.
And must go to the origin, which is 0. So that's correct.
So is Vincent right?
Yes.
Yeah, he is. Good job, Vincent. Way to explain. Way to explain, Levi. Good. Anybody have any questions about proportional relationships?
No.
All right. Sophia, I want you to read this one for us and try it.
The total U.S. apple production increased during the 1973 through 1988 period from 6.2 to 9.1 billion pounds to the nearest tenth of the percent. What was the percent in increase in apple production in the United States from 1973 to 1988?
All right. So right here, I've written down our formula. So what are you thinking, Sophia? How would we determine the amount of increase from 6.2 to 9.1? What would you have to do? How do you figure out the amount between 6.2 and 9.1?
Subtract.
Good. So I'm going to have to do some borrowing. So what is 11 minus 2?
9.
All right, remember my decimal needs to be in line when adding and subtracting. What's 8 minus 6?
2.
All right, so I'm going to put this here. So my increase is 2.9. What was my original?
6.2.
Good. So now I just need to put that in the calculator. What is 2.9 divided by 6.2?
0.5 if you
Don't round
do
it.
the rounding.
Don't do any rounding. Just give it to me.
0.467741935448.
All right. I'm going to stop it at 0.4677 because all of our answers are rounded to that nearest tenth. All right. I need to take that and then multiply it by 100. When I do that, this decimal moves 2 places to the right. So I'm going to get 46.77, but it says I'm rounding to the nearest tenth. The tenths place is 1 unit to the right of the decimal. So I have to pay attention to the hundredths place. If it is 5 or more, then my tenths place goes up 1. If it's 4 or less, it stays the same. So what is our answer going to be, Hermigene?
46.8.
Great job. Has anybody got a question?
Yes, sir.
Everybody feel pretty confident so far?
Yes, sir.
A lot of thumbs ups. I'm just joking. I was being sarcastic. Hopefully y'all are okay. I'm right here. All you gotta do. Yay! I got some people. All right. Number 9. Let's go with Miss Rachel. Go ahead, Miss Rachel. What are you thinking? Would you read it?
Jason and Mateo went to eat to Sam's sub shop. They spent $12.25 for lunch plus 8% tax. If they split the bill evenly, what was the price that each person paid?
All right.
Can I answer this?
Sure.
So I got 6.62 because what I did 12.25 times 8%.
How'd you do that? What'd you have to do to 8% to be able to multiply it by it?
Convert it to a decimal.
Good job. And to do that, we have to divide by what number?
100.
Good.
100, so you get 0.08.
Good. And what do you get when you multiply those together?
$0.98.
All right. And so when we get 98 cents, what do I need to do with 98?
Add it to 12.25.
Correct. I got ahead of myself. Remember, we got to keep those decimals lined up. What's 8 plus 5?
13.
Good. 3 plus 9?
12.
2 plus 1?
3.
Now I'm bringing down that 1. So I got $13.23.
And then you divide that by 2 since they split the bill evenly.
Good.
And I think you actually get 6.61 and then like that number, but I
You
rounded
do?
it.
You get 6.615. But just like we talked about a while ago, we know we're rounding to the nearest what dealing with money?
100.
100. And so we got to look at the number to the right of the number we're trying to round to. If it's 5 or more, our number goes up. If it's 4 or less, it does what? 4 or less, it stays the what? Same. So our answer is going to be $6.62. Rachel, would you have done it any differently?
No, sir, I did it like that.
Okay. I'm going to actually get your help on this next one. I'm going to get Levi to read it, and then you answer it. Read that for us, Levi.
I can read it, but never mind.
It's all
She
good.
can read it if she wants.
Go ahead, Angel.
A shoe store paid the
Manufacturer.
manufacturer $27 for a new pair of basketball shoes. If the store sells the basketball shoes for $60.75, what is the percent markup?
All right. So what do you think we're going to do, Rachel?
I think we're gonna divide the $27 and $60.75.
You are pretty close. Pretty close. All right. We want to get the increase. Remember, we wrote this down earlier. We're going to take the increase and we're going to divide it by the original. Y'all make sure y'all write down this formula. Correct. And that'll give us our percent increase or markup. Same thing. So how would I find out the increase? Like the amount between here and $60.75. How would I find that?
You would subtract them.
Good. So I'm taking $60.75 and I'm subtracting $27. So what's 10 minus 7?
3.
What's 5 minus 2?
3.
All right. So our increase is $33.75. What was the original?
$27.
Good. And we said we needed to do what with those two numbers?
Divide.
Okay. So when I do $33.75 divided by 27, what do I get? I ain't going to get those.
Don't you get 125%?
Yeah, we get 1.25 times 100, which is going to be what, Rachel?
125%.
Perfect. Now, for us that did not remember this formula, there's another way we can get this answer. Anybody know what it is? Good. That's what I'm here for. All right. So what we do, we get that $33.75 by subtracting because we know that's the increase. When we find this increase, all we got to do is multiply it by these. And, or really all we do is we take our $27 and multiply it by each one of these decimals and see which one gives us 33.75. So this would be 1.3. This would be 0.25. This is 0.3375. And this is 1.25. Well, when you multiply 27 times 1.25, you're going to get your $33.75. So that lets you know that your markup was 125%. Does that make sense to everybody? Or not really?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.